I'm OG.
I'm Dylan, and we have a
OG, a proper, like I'm OG, but that's the OG.
the OG of the house scene.
Ady Fleming, yeah.
So tell us, who is
Ady Fleming.
So for those who know me from back then, I used to go by the alias of DJ Ady, being raised in El Dorado Park. I lived there for most of my life. I haven't lived there for the last 15 years or so now. But I'm originally from there. I'm a product of El Dorado Park and very proud of it. So I owe my musical knowledge and experience to those that have raised me, those that grew up in front of me. So I basically started DJing, if you want to know about Ady Fleming, at the age of 15. Myself and Keenan, we basically started out as kid DJs. We were probably one of the first kid DJs in Aldos that came out of El Dorado Park, and we were playing vinyl at the time. Like, it was quite a wow factor for the people in our community to see these young boys playing records, what they used to call then LPs, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, we kind of blew up. We were quite trendy at the time, you know, because we were one of the first kid DJs, you know.
Yeah.
Other than the other kid DJs that also started out in our time, like from Soweto and so forth, and other areas of Johannesburg. So yeah, we played in taverns or whatever you want to call it.
We don't have it any other way.
Yeah. That's where we were raised, you know. Not in the best conditions, not the greatest conditions for any kid DJ to start out with. We were surrounded by a lot of gangsterism, a lot of the things that are happening now in communities, you know, drugs and so forth.
Yeah.
And we managed to make it work. And yeah, we grew musically in different directions, but we still hosted parties together in our youth, during our youth time, and yeah, formed various DJ groups like Groove Element, I Had Deep Element, and then I just found my niche in Deep House. The rest is history, I guess.
What would you call deep house now? You said like what people used to call it.
That's a very, 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 I wouldn't say tricky question, but music is quite versatile and it's universal,
Yeah.
right? Let me start off by saying that first. So if we're speaking about deep house, what is deep house, right? Deep house, if you listen to interviews from the pioneers, the original pioneers of deep house, the guys from
Godfathers.
Chicago,
Before your time.
like
Yeah,
all these guys, you know.
so.
If you listen to or read articles about them and like Ron Trent and so forth, and you listen to what these guys confirm what deep house really is, it's purely a music of feeling, how
You
deep,
feel
how
it.
you feel it, right? What they call now the LGBTQ community were the ones that exposed us to these sounds and genres back in the day in the US, you know.
But the progression of, let's say, groove in our current, time space, it's groove. Beyond that, it was just partying, it was just going out having a good time. Now it has kind of a title. But what is, key points for you of the transition from you were playing in clubs at 16, 20 compared to clubs you're playing at now? Is it still the same vibe, still the same narrative, especially within your genre?
So I'll say the culture's definitely changed. The culture's definitely not the same. Times are different, right? Although we appreciate the same sounds. Like if you go to one of Keen or Zane Galston's parties, you have DJs like K2K still playing like Devin Campbell and stuff like that. What I'm saying is we understand and we feel and we like the same music, whether it be 90s.
The classics
will always be classics, but the culture is definitely different, you know? Like how you guys party now versus how we partied is
Very different.
very different. It was a little bit more hardcore for us, you know? Like we used to, and there was a lot of negatives as well. Like we used to use women to get the club full, like ladies free.
not like
I
that.
feel like they still do that.
The
to
quota is
Well, the clubs the festivals I've been playing at in the last 10 years, I haven't seen
Just
that.
guys.
Like, maybe like in townships, they're still doing that and stuff, you know. Or maybe even in some urban areas, I don't know. But that exploitation already was embedded that time, you know. I feel the younger generation or the generation of now has a lot of more freedom of speech, freedom of expressing music, freedom of hosting events in a certain way without any red tape or any border surrounded by it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so two different cultures. I just feel like it's moving very fast.
Okay.
But in the right direction. You'd
The
say.
right direction,
Okay.
but fast. I might be very wrong about it. I don't know, but I feel it's too fast. I feel like there's no, like, you make a song today, you
Next
produce
day is
a
another
song. Not even a month, it's dead. It's dead unless you do like something really, you know, crisp, and you know, you make it a
Kevin
classic.
Campbell, you see.
On South Africa alone, Kevin Campbell's royalties, that man he doesn't need
No,
to
but-
make any other music. in
Yeah,
his
no,
lifetime.
for sure. So I feel like the music industry is fast-paced. Yeah, there's a lot of music out there, but and I know it's not only South Africa, it's globally. It's not South Africa alone. It's globally. Aid that. I mean, like, if you look at the production softwares that we're using now, like everyone, like every young kid almost has access to FL Studio, right? But yeah, I know like very popular artists that are still using those softwares that I use. I mean, I still use others like Logic and Ableton. So yeah, let me say production software has its own, you know, like positives and negatives,
Yeah.
pros and cons, you know. And it's not that the one is better than the other; it's just preference.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Soul Candy, like, if you speak to the youth of today about Soul Candy, they are confused.
Yeah,
And you know,
today
I
who-
feel like the
like-
youth should know about Soul Candy because during the time when the record store closed, yeah, exactly, they were conceived from Soul Candy, you know,
Oh wow.
That's like,
like musically conceived, you know, musically
no,
conceived.
they are
So-
referring
so-
that Jose was made to a Soul Candy song.
I would rather not picture that. Thank you.
This is a bit more personal and musical at the same time. So my mom used to work across Soul Candy when they just opened. Yeah, Mbusa used to have a record store called Sugar Tracks before Soul Candy, and we used to like meet him in town and stuff, you know, on the corner where A1 store is now, and get our records from there. And I don't know how the development of Soul Candy happened, how he met the owners and how they collaborated and created Soul Candy, but I was there when they just started, you know. So my mother used to walk into the store and like, hey, my son's a DJ, you know.
That's so cute.
Yeah, and they used to look at like, who's this old lady walking or buying records, you know. And I couldn't go and buy records for myself because I was at school.
Yeah.
And so she used to like every weekend she'd buy me like one
So
or
did you
two
like trust
records.
her judgment, or she kind of knew your
So
sound?
no, so I used to give her like one or two titles, you know, and she'll, if I'm lucky, she'll come home with those titles. Sometimes she'll surprise me. She'll like, you know, like one day she surprised, she brought home Sean Escoffery, Days Like This, you know, and she's like, I bought this record for you. I think you'd like it, you know. And it just turned out that was like one of the big house songs that came out at that time. It's a very good vocal house song, you know. So yeah, so she used to go like every weekend, like buy me like one or two records, and all have a big stack of records for me. I'm at the back of the office chilling with, you know, the likes of Glenn Lewis and all the big cats, you know. So obviously starstruck. I was like, you know,
You with
like
the big dogs,
I'm with
huh?
the big dogs. I'm chilling. I'm, you know, like Clive Bean used to sort out my records for me, Claude, even Brian Black as well.
So you have an event coming up, and obviously you've been in the industry. Tell us about the first event you've ever hosted, whether that was at someone's house,
Devon.
your first, you know, AD.
My first event was Extension 9 swimming pool. Nah, it was a well-behaved party. Very well. We weren't that rough. It was more like the older guys, like that time they used to call them.
Yeah.
I think we still called.
Do they still call them that? So I think that they were the troublemakers than the guys, you know, or the people that attended parties. Yeah, there were odd cases here and there. So yeah, Extension 9, swimming pool, borrowed cash from Mamzo, like to higher sound, you know, like and
Mommy,
Shout out to
it's
her.
worth it.
Like
worth
trust the process, like
but I actually got knocked on that day.
with the sound.
No, with my partner. Because I had to leave the event for 2 hours. And
That's a
when I
lot.
left the event,
it. A lot happened.
a lot happened in that 2 hours. So when I left, it was empty. You know, like it was just
A couple people.
me and him playing and a couple of people, yeah, in the pool, like maybe even just like 15 people, whatever.
Having a
the
pool
case.
party with live entertainment, love that.
I'm thinking we
and a
must.
public pool.
So yeah, so we didn't have a lot of venues, and we weren't exposed to a lot of venues at the time, you know. So anyway, I leave the event, I come back, I see it is jam packed. It is rocking here. I'm like, wow, my first party. What is this? You know, like I'm
That was
17
last
that. I turned 17 in that year, you know. So, or
Hectic.
16 or 17, I can't, yeah, but around
Around
that
there.
time.
Yeah.
And we now close up shop, and I'm like,
Money.
What's the fun?
where's
What's
the
what's
money?
popping?
No, I had to let people come in for free. Like long stories, you know.
Yo,
You've been there.
So
yeah, I've been there.
yeah, that was my first one. There was a vibe. Didn't go well though, financially for me, you know.
So now you have to owe your mother money again.
Money.
Okay, so where we picked off. Yeah,
Bland.
let's talk about your brand. The word that rolls off your tongue. Bland.
Yeah. So I was struggling to come up with a name because I didn't want to go the route like deep vibes or deep this or
Like within the
Dub
niche you want to
this.
do.
Deep down Josie
Like-
type of.
I wanted to create, and I want to create my brand based on a name that people will remember, not because of the attachment to a certain genre,
Yeah.
but because of what it entails, like what the party is about. It's about us expressing our musical love towards underground music and dub music and deep music and electronic music and techno music, you know, like
Yeah.
all the things you don't get to hear on the radio, you
Yeah.
know. So that was the purpose of it. And I just wanted to deviate away from a name that has anything to do with deep, because everyone's doing that, you know,
Yeah.
like. And yeah, there's some really cool brands that are doing well with the name Deep in it, you know. I mean, like, I'm a resident at Deep Town Josie. Deep Town Josie is doing very well, you know. There's like Deep Soul Sensation. There's a bunch of deep brands with the name
Yeah.
Deep in it, you know. And I just didn't want to fall into that pocket, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, surely we can come up with a name that's
Different.
unique, raises an eyebrow. I was just going through the alphabet, you know, a couple of track titles, and there's this one song I really like. I'm not gonna mention artists because they're gonna think I stole their brand name, but it's actually spelled differently.
Okay.
But I found Blunt in that name, and I just thought it sounded cool, and I proposed it to the marketing team and the venue that's helped me develop it and so forth, you know.
The
Everyone
brand.
was like, I like that, you know.
It's a unique name.
And so, like, usually underground music is associated with a lot of natural elements, like if you're talking about the design side of it. So I wanted to speak to that because I wanted to bring a pure nature to the dance floor, an essence of togetherness, you know.
Unite the crowd under one sound.
Under one sound, not something you know of. I want you to go home and write the story and like, yo, I heard the song last night. It went do ba 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 ba.
That's how you found that.
Please can we not talk about
No,
that?
I'm gonna talk about it
Okay.
there.
Yeah, no,
Like that, what you were saying, like the song do. She comes from an event and she's like, "Bro, do you know the song?" I'm like, "What song?"
And
I don't know,
I'm
but
singing the song. I'm singing do and you know the song. And I went into Google because I couldn't remember the song, and I'm typing do, and it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm trying to find the song.
that's
and
how
it's
you
open.
find songs nowadays.
So it's I get the element that you're saying you're gonna go and be like, yo, bro, what's that song? I was like, and the bro was like, congratulations, like that type of thing.
So it kind of creates some sort of suspense, some sort of like wanting to go back and experience more, you know, like, yeah, just something completely different, you know. And that was the whole purpose behind it. And yeah, so like even if you look at my design aesthetics, like how we design our flyers and stuff,
I saw
it's
the
very,
merch. I was
very-
like, oh, that's
very
fire.
minimal,
But
but
it's-
it has volumes in its look and feel, you know.
Yeah.
But it's minimal at the same time.
What's your favorite place to play at?
I love Cape Town, and I'll say that there's a reason why I like the scene in Cape Town, because this is Joburg. We are the New York City of South Africa,
Yeah.
right? So
That's a
everything's
nice way of
fast
putting it.
No,
paced.
we are the big. We like the city.
We're the city, so everything's
City.
fast paced. Everything is like, marketing is on massive levels. Like everything's just fast. So you get very few communities that are about listening to everything
Yeah.
in Joburg. Versus when I go to Cape Town, I'm playing to people that usually go to like either hip hop jewels or whatever, but when they get onto that dance floor, they are rocking. They are moving. They are extremely, and that's the difference between the two cities. If you have to ask me, like they are more exposed to like unknown music and other music than what we are. And I guess we've also just been fed a lot of radio music.
Yeah.
You know, because
Mainstream
we
music.
mainstream. It's Joburg. You know.
Yeah.
We are a handful that's of niche music. You know. I mean, like, can you call 10 jazz artists out? No. Like local jazz artists new?
No, not at all.
But I can ask you to call out like 5FM's playlist from yesterday and who the artists there, and you'll probably know them.
Yeah.
So I enjoy playing in Cape Town. Like, there's a lot of self-expression in those at some of those parties.
It's not like
They also have their kak parties and they also have their mainstream vibes as well, you know. So I won't go there. But a lot of their scene or a lot of the events there are about like really good music, you know.
There's no structure like
There's no
Joburg-
structure basically.
Johannesburg, like groove is very structured. Like
Shit.
we're gonna have this act at this time, and it's gonna be for that
Yeah.
certain crowd. Whereas I feel like in Cape Town it's like free flowing.
Yeah.
We're gonna
So,
play this, then, and the other.
for instance, like there's another brand I play for in Cape Town, you know, like they don't do the whole resident and headliner thing. They just put the lineup up.
But I feel like Cape Town has like Liam Hans. They have
No, but that's more like more mainstream.
Okay, yeah, like
Yeah.
like groove. Like let's say like you're going like to
Dawson.
at least Dawson. Yeah,
No, he's a buddy. He's a friend of mine, so it's fine. We can talk about that.
Can we have Dawson?
Ons praat van jou, my bra.
Can we have Dawson on the show?
We'll talk afterwards.
like-
Okay, there I'm not gonna get
you
involved.
can
but
talk to him on our behalf. Like, listen, check these people out.
Leave Ady alone. Anyway.
Okay, we'll speak to your manager. Your manager will do your
Yeah,
admin.
speak to her. Yeah, she will sort you out.
But imagine we can get Dawson on the show.
I would fangirl. Anyway,
Okay.
so in the sense of that, I think it's so important just to have pop-ups and not have like a serious event. Obviously you want consistency, but I always tell Dylan, like, how cool will it be to have like a location party? Nobody knows where it is, what's happening. The lineup is minimal. It's good acts, but not all of this big PR and marketing. It's just there for the vibes. You're just going
Yeah.
there. You stumbled on this event. You're having a good time.
That's kind of what happened last week with our event, eh? If you
Yeah, it
think
was
of
very minimal, but that's where big things start out. And I think across the journey, people forget about the bare minimum, having a party at a public pool. Those raw, immaculate vibes, opposed to
yeah.
like, now we have to sort out sponsors. There's so much admin that you get lost in, like, it's just for the music.
Yeah. So the sad reality is that the majority of the traffic is paying people, and the paying people are the ones that usually consume, and that's the sad reality. I'd love to just throw a party in my street, you know. Yeah, I would love to play almost anywhere, but we are dictated by a certain system and a certain formula on how things work. And yeah, you can try things and you can try it out. No one is stopping you, but the chances are
The trap
on how
for
many
that.
failures you're gonna have are very high. You
Yeah.
know, it's very high. So what do most of us do? We try and stick to a certain part. For us that are underground, we try and stick to a certain part of the format.
Do you still consider yourself underground?
I would.
Because I still, your household name, like I can say Ady and they're like, oh, Ady Fleming. It's not
So
like,
just to touch on that, I'm quite oblivious to these things. Like I don't.
you don't know people that know you.
Like I'll walk into like Pick and Pay and people are like, oh, where Ady Fleming? I'm like, oh, where? You know, like, so for me it's like I'm not fazed by it. I never was. Like I've always been just about playing music. Yeah, and I don't look past. I know there are people that know me. I do know that for sure. But majority of the time I don't even think about it. I like, if someone sees me, I'm like, first, how do I know you? You know,
But,
like, how do I know? Do we know each other?
we
go
Like,
to
have
school
we met
together?
before? Like, I don't think about like, oh, they know me as Ady.
When you pulled up, you looked at us like, yeah, I look familiar.
Yeah.
Dylan inside was like, he was like, yeah.
No, you do look. You guys do look familiar. But I also understood that I meet a lot of people in my time. You know,
I mean, you've been in the game for over 20 years.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
met countless people.
way too much.
People probably started dating at one event you started playing at, and now they're like, yeah, Ady played on that day when
Yeah,
we
no,
met each other.
I'm sure babies were made.
Imagine at a deep house
That's
event.
such a
it's-
title, like my set. You were there doing it
You
to
can
my
officially
set.
say you're an OG.
Yeah, no, for that I can.
Just imagine, like, Ma, Dad, so tell me.
How did
Where did you meet? No, Ady Fleming was playing the set in the background. I saw your mother. I was like, come here.
The song touched both of our souls.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we've touched on a lot of things. We've touched on Blan, the who is Ady Fleming, the conception of you and your sound. But what are like 3 things you would offer to, let's say, old school pros and even the younger generation trying to come up, whether it be in deep house per se or just in the industry? What would you offer them?
Sure. There's a lot of like cliche things that are actually
Just
true.
like,
No, they're actually
okay.
very true. So like, I believe in sticking to your guns. Like I stuck to my guns. Like I'm one of the very, very few non-commercially producing DJs that gets booked regularly or almost every weekend.
it is
And not
everywhere.
because of my name or where I come from, it's because of the consistency that I put in my craft towards playing music for people, So, and yeah, it didn't benefit me in the beginning. It was a struggle. It was a very, very tough struggle. But I stuck to my sound. I was like, eventually someone's going to get it. Someone will understand, And it took a while, but then it happened. And when it happened, all the doors started firing, this door opened, that door opened, things just start happening, So that's one cliche element that I would say definitely works. Stick by your guns, and also try and be creative as possible. Like just try and do things that no one's doing, like if you feel this is a bad idea, try it out on a maybe on a lighter platform or a different platform before you go for like full scale, just to test the waters. But don't shut your creativity down, try something. And to the older generation, the older cats, don't rely on past friendship, past relationships to help and get you where you want to be or need to be. Don't think that, oh, it's my buddy, he's going to excel in that route. You need to work as equally as hard as these youngsters are working. These guys are pushing. So just put in the work, connect. They know what they need to do. To the younger generation, like take time in everything you do. Take time in your other hobbies. Take time in your current hobby, like whether it's music but take time in everything. Don't let music just consume your entire soul and feel like music is the only thing that's going to get you out of it, out of the any situation, bad situation, whatever the case may be. Like look at other things, look at answers in other people, like don't be afraid to expose yourself to new things. Like just go for it like a herd of turtles.
I'm gonna start using that. Okay.
So we've touched on a lot. Thank you so much for sparing your time.
Thank you for having me, guys.
For us.
Thank you so much for pulling through, and a lot of DJs, artists, entertainers have the opportunity to reach out to the youth, and most of the time it's not really mutual interaction. But we are grateful for the people that have come through and invested their time and energy in also investing in our kind of initiative of showcasing the people who somewhat pioneered, as much as you don't regard yourself as a pioneer, but someone that has grown with your fan base and grown with so many people throughout the years.
No, thank you guys. I do appreciate it, and I hope you guys just go from next movement to next movement. Don't stop, keep it rocking. I know very few platforms like this.
We are
Joburg.
niche category.
Yeah.
And thanks for pointing me out and having me.
Okay, so I'm OG.
I'm Dylan.
Ady,
Keep moving.
Keep grooving.
We out.
out.